Shut up and sit down.
Let's go play on bicycles. Oh, Dad, please. Give me a bike, please. Please.
Well, I like riding on my bicycle, just rolling on down that old road bed. But I don't like being in the hospital, so I wear my helmet on top of my head.
All y'all beautiful people are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Tip of the day: an inch of time is an inch of gold, but you can't buy that inch of time with an inch of gold. So, get off your butt and make good use of your time, preferably on a bike.
Did you mean for all those words to come out together, or did they just fall out randomly?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and today I'm here with Evan Price.
What's everybody drinking today? Matt brought my drink today, actually.
Yeah, it's, what is this, Izzy sparkling drink? I don't know.
We're going through a lot of different sparkling waters
Usually, yeah, we do. This one has calories in it and sugar.
And
it has a lot of sugar. Yeah, it tastes pretty sweet. So it's not quite up to our normal standards.
I like Polar better.
Okay.
Polar ranks a little bit above it right now. Yeah.
And Jake, you're on coffee?
I'm on coffee duty today. Yes, I'm trying to wake myself up. And that voice you just heard, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking absolutely fantastic today.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Hey, they were on time today. Last week they were a little early, but
Yeah.
getting better. And finally, we've got Lance Romance.
Missing in
Hey,
action.
Lance?
Missing in action.
Lance,
no pants.
Lance. Where are you? He's in Moab, actually. So it probably is echoing wherever he's at right now.
That's true.
But, yeah.
Does it echo under the arch there?
I mean, I assume.
I haven't been to Moab, but I assume everything echoes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of his kids are there, I think. I think the whole crew, his whole crew is there.
Yeah, I saw some pictures, and they've got the whole shooting match out there. Look like they're having a good time. So,
Oh, man.
did the whole Mother's Day thing, and they posted up a cool picture of the whole family, which was fun to
Nice.
see. So, yeah, so we've got Lance gone today, and you've got the three of us. Let's get started on our back pedal. Evan, what's up?
So my only news from this back pedal outside of yet another training week that went fine is I got a new bicycle.
Ooh, I think on this podcast, anytime that anyone that's sitting around the table gets a new bike, we should always celebrate a new bike day or something. Yeah.
Party time.
This was,
excellent.
I can't thank the man sitting across the table enough. Jake put together for me a Ferrari of bicycles. This thing,
Ferrari.
I haven't, so I was thinking about, I haven't had a new bike day since I got that Shiv, which was, oh my God, that was years ago. Like, I don't even really remember when it was. I was still in Ohio. And that was a long time ago. And I remember how excited I was for that. And it pales in comparison to how excited I was to get on this bike yesterday.
Yeah.
What bike did you get, Evan?
I got the BMC TM01, and it is slippery fast with SRAM access components, head disc, and the copy is Pro Design, right?
It is. It's
Yeah.
Is it the T4?
T4, I think.
Yeah, the carbon cockpit. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man. That thing is super
So,
slick looking.
so I'm big on,
That
I know,
disc looks-
like some people like naming their bikes. So I'm big on naming my bikes.
Kit.
Oh.
Kit.
So
Kit.
yes, exactly.
Oh, hold on a second. It's got kind of like a stealth fighter look to it.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was that old there was the helicopter that looked like a stealth fighter, like Air something.
Yeah, Air Dog, or was that what it was? Air.
So
someone's gonna correct us.
I talked with for people on this podcast who don't know, my dad had worked in the Air Force for years and years.
Good person to.
Yep. So my dad was military for years and years, and he's retired now. But my dad worked on the B-2 stealth bomber program.
Really?
So I told him last night, I was like, I'm calling it B-2. That's the name, is the B-2.
Nice. It's a B-2
And
bomber.
if you look up pictures of the B-2 stealth bomber, the thing is just an awesome.
You might want to dig a little bit deeper, because the pilots actually will name the planes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go out there and find like a cool B-2 name.
I should. I'm sure my dad knows a couple.
You just don't want to get it
pilots,
mixed up with the Felt, because I think Felt made a B-2.
Oh,
or
did they?
Or was it B-12? I don't know. No, that's a vitamin. But Felt makes
No,
a
B2,
B
yeah.
series.
They do make a
TT
B
bike.
series bike.
Yeah, so you don't want it to get confused with that.
We can even call it the Stealth Bomber too, which is pretty cool.
You got to come up with like some crazy like.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. We'll dig.
We're gonna do something around that, which I like a lot. And it's funny because the Shiv is, for whatever reason, the color combination that they had for this bike that I had was a Jamaican flag color.
Yeah.
So we called it Cool Runnings, which I thought was a really cool name. I thought that was awesome because that's a great movie. But so that is now the Shiv that I've been riding on for years is going to be my training bike still.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I hopped on that BMC yesterday.
Where'd you go?
So I went around, actually right around this area. I went down to the Hustle route, which for me is my favorite little TT spot now because it really, I think, simulates what the Chattanooga course is going to be like. It's got some, fast sections, but then it's got those long, steady false flats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just telling Jake before this, don't think I've ever gone up. So everybody in this region kind of knows Lake Road heading up the climb, which I think, Jake, you still have that KOM, don't you?
I think so.
I think so.
Took a time trial bike over there.
Well, and I feel like I'm cheating going up this thing with it, but that was the first time I ever held that entire climb in the Aero.
Wow.
And that's a decently long climb to be. I'm usually not the type of guy who likes holding Aero for climbs.
Yeah.
So that's how comfortable I felt on that, which was the only thing I was nervous about going out is like, I know the bike's going to be fast. I just needed to make sure that I was going to be able to ride it hard.
Yeah.
And just hopping on it without having made really any adjustments, the thing was, absolutely buttery fast.
So you alluded to the fact that you have the BMC, the TM, which is short for Time Machine.
Time Machine,
which is their TT bike, and there is a Time Machine road bike version of this bike, which is just their Aero road bike. You need to get with BMC and talk to them about using more than just the same. Yeah, it's like
they need to mix that up.
Yeah, you've got unlimited things that you can come up with.
Yeah.
Why do you have to call them pretty much
road
the same
machine,
thing?
Time Machine? Yeah, they need to branch out.
That's neither here nor there. Branding. Anyway, so you've got the TT bike that has disc brakes on it. What's your compare and contrast the Shiv braking with the rim brake and the disc brake?
I had never ridden disc brakes before, actually.
Even on a road bike?
Outside of just testing bikes around, I never ridden disc brakes before.
Not even like on a mountain bike or anything?
No, because I really not done a ton of mountain biking in my life. Yeah.
Confession time. I've never ridden disc either.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah.
My God, you guys.
I was expecting, so this is so embarrassing to talk about. I was expecting in my head, I'm like, I've got to be so careful with these brakes or I'm going to go flying over the front.
Right? That's what I think
It
too.
feels almost exactly the same
Does
to me,
it?
except it's more responsive and I like it better.
Yeah, and
It's-
like when you need to stop,
It's a lot more confident.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel much more confident with if I need to stop that I'm good. But I was picturing like, well, I just can't touch the brakes again. Like that's what I was picturing in my head is like, these things are going to be so responsive. I'm going to tap these brakes and go flying over the front of this wheel. But no, it's, and I like it because I feel I feel like I can feather the brakes a little bit easier and hit corners a little bit faster without having to be as, I think I've always been a bad corner when it comes to the cycling world because I've always been, like I said, I've only had a couple new bike days in my life.
Well, you also come from time trialing, which it's hard to be a good time trialer in corner a lot. Like that, don't go together very well.
And I just had a season where I bike raced and I did a ton of crits. And I think that year I was very good at cornering, but I crashed so many times that year in situations that definitely were not always my fault, that I just got like so jittery into corners after that season that, and I mean, you can only crash so many times before it's like, oh my God, like I can't deal with sliding out one more time and having 6 guys lay down in front of you. So
you'll find that it's very confidence inspiring. Once you get that bike out there and put it through a few more trials, if you will. Yeah. And you start to find some different scenarios where that braking is actually going to pay dividends and play to your advantage. You're going to be very, very enthralled with that, and you're going to want to actually get rid of your road bike and switch that over.
I'm telling you what, because I'm probably going to.
You should switch your road bike. At
my
some
next.
point.
I need to do it sooner than later. It's got to happen. That road bike is.
But you're going to keep that bike because that's your. I don't know.
That thing's getting framed.
You've had that thing forever,
framed.
right?
Yeah.
It's like your old best friend. So
it is.
Put it up on the wall. That would be a nice little.
Did you post your ride to
showpiece.
Strava? Your TT?
God, I don't. I need to get on this, guys. It's like
he manually inputs his
I'm
stuff.
doing everything else like decent, like I'm on top of everything else in my life right now.
Probably
And
not.
then the one thing that we always talk about when we come here, I think
like some sort of technology
thing. I still haven't gotten that
But
down
he
yet.
did. He went in there and he uploaded like a manual. So he input the time. He put like how far he went. He even put a picture up there too.
But you're not winning segments or anything like that because you don't have GPS data. You didn't you could start your phone and just keep it in your pocket.
That's what I was about to do, but the only problem is my battery was really low.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I knew it was going to run out of battery as soon as I did that. And I don't have unlimited data, so I'm like kind of iffy on that too. So.
Yeah. Batch of those Garmin 530s that just came in. Maybe you need to snag one of those, my friend.
That would be a good computer for you.
My Garmin, I like the bike computer, but I only have a mount on my road bike. So I use my watch for anytime I'm on a TT bike.
Okay.
Which is
and
fine.
you don't want to have a bike computer on your TT bike?
Probably not.
Maybe for training, but not for racing?
Yeah, that would be the only time is for training. I need to get the little attachment.
I probably have 20 of those Garmin mounts.
And for every 20 that he has, I've probably got about 3 more.
I know, right?
It's like Jake has bike things.
I got that stuff.
Yeah. I gotta hit you up for something later.
It's time for me to start moving slowly into 25. I'm doing this slowly. So I just really, this last week, actually did a little bit of research and started to get to know Excel better.
Did you use the internet or did you use the library?
I really got Excel down.
System?
So I got the like little equations you can put into Excel. I reminded myself on all those. I've got those kind of down now.
Okay.
So let me do Excel first, and then we'll work on syncing Garmin.
Okay.
Next week.
Then we'll talk about the World Wide Web.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then one other thing on that bike. How did you like the SRAM Access? The 1x drivetrain, that 1x12. How was it?
So smooth. I don't think I'm gonna. The only thing I did notice is probably on a 10 to 12% climb.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough with the cassette I have right now.
That's what I was thinking.
But I am used to low gear climbing. That's actually how I've climbed for years, so I'm fine with it. But oh my gosh, that thing is. I could stay in the aero, hit any false flat, and just shift through those gears without even no brake.
And what's nice about that 1x drivetrain with the 12 gears in the back, you're always a click away from right where you need to be, and you don't have to fuss around with that front derailleur. Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's so nice. It just takes any worry out of your mind of a mechanical issue, which is great.
Yeah. So for any of our listeners that didn't watch my SRAM video on YouTube,
shame on you.
Yes, shame on you. You have a 50 tooth in the front.
Yep.
And it's 1026?
26, yep.
1026 in the back. Okay. Yep. That's a gearing.
Which, surprisingly, a 50-26 is
crazy.
Is a pretty good ratio for climbing. And it really is. I mean, I was running really high cadence going up Lake Road, and I am not a high cadence rider.
Were you in the 26 going up that? That's not that steep.
No, I was in
probably something like 24.
The 24. Yeah, I think I was in the 24.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Matt, when he's at work tomorrow, we might need to
borrow it,
break into his apartment, and go grab that.
This is why I've talked with Jake. Me and Jake's inseam are pretty darn close.
Our fit is insanely close.
Yeah,
you told me after you made the adjustments on yours, I'm like, damn, that's like less than a quarter of an inch away from where I need to be. So we're talking about just millimeters. So
wow. That's nice. Handy. It's good to have friends like that.
Exactly. Everybody just find a TT buddy who's your exact fit. And there you go.
Share a bike.
And then share a bike. Yeah.
Matt, you want to backpedal for us?
Sure. Good week of training. I don't remember exactly what it was. Maybe somewhere 16 to 18 hours worth of training.
How was that run yesterday for you?
It was okay. So that was my big fear. The whole week was like, I'm getting to this point where it's kind of really like, do I need to not do this Ironman race? Like, I'm just not running. Mm-hmm. And so I need to kind of ramp up my long runs. And my calves are still bothering me. So I went out the previous weekend and did an 8-miler, which is not really a long run in my opinion. But then this week I did 11 miles. It felt okay the whole time. I'm just trying to go real slow and just not push anything. And I was, running 7:45s or something like that for a lot of the long run. Pretty happy with that. Did a little shorter bike ride. We did 100 miles the week before.
Yeah.
Ended up only doing about 60 something. And I was going to go up to Multnomah Falls, which is this really beautiful waterfall in the Pacific Northwest area. Mm-hmm. But I went up to Crown Point, which, is one of the turnarounds. And we kind of had a big group, and my group was turning around early.
Who were you riding with? Were you riding with Nate?
No, I was riding with Denise Croucher and Bob Croucher and a whole bunch of triathletes from that group.
Yep.
And so the group was really nice, but one of the girls, I'd convinced her to come all the way up to Crown Point, and she had this little run-in with this car and went down and all this stuff. And so it's kind of, we were all kind of freaked out. Anyway, we were coming back from Crown Point, and I was just, leading the group, right? I was in the front of the group, kind of pulling. I think I was going 24 miles an hour, something like that. Not like nice and steady, nice steady watts, somewhere between 200 and 250 watts. Mm-hmm. And I had been pulling pretty much since Crown Point. And all of a sudden, group of orange just swarmed me, and I knew Jake. I knew like what their routes, their basic route was, which was really similar to what I had planned to do, which was go down to Multnomah Falls. And then I kind of knew where they were because other people were talking about dialed cycling up on Crown Point. They were like, "Oh, those guys were flying, and they went this way," So I knew kind of where they were, and I was like, "They might pass us on the way."
Who are these men in orange?
Who are these men in orange? Well, because they saw me wearing the orange, and they were like, "Hey, your teams, they were over here doing this," and I was like, "Cool, that's awesome. Maybe they'll pass us when we're on our way back home."
Yeah.
So they did, and as they came past us, and it was like fast. They came past us so fast.
We just looked at Jake. Well, Jake was just sharing his 43-minute data with us. I would imagine it was during that time period.
Yeah, exactly. So this was on Marine Drive. So this is pancake flat. There was not wind on his back at all. There was probably, if anything, there was probably wind in his face just a little bit. And I was probably going 23, 24. They came past us probably close.
27, 28.
Yeah,
probably.
27, 28. Mm-hmm. And all I hear is this like, bam, slap. And it was slapped me right on the ass. Right on the ass. And immediately they're like 5-6 feet ahead of us, right? And so I just sprint.
Yeah.
And I looked at my watts afterwards. I put in over 800 watts to go from whatever it was.
So a max sprint for me.
Max sprint, absolutely, max sprint. I go from whatever it was, 24, and then we go all the way up to like 29, and then all the way up to 30. We go over 30 miles an hour.
Yep.
And we're pace lining. And Bob came with us, Bob Croucher. So we had like this.
Bob Strong.
We had this really cool like pace line going. Of course, when Jake took the lead, it was game on. It was just like hang on for dear life.
Oh yeah.
But it was pretty cool. It was a pretty fun thing. We flew down. I mean, it was probably the fastest I'd gone down Marine Drive, and it wasn't like we had wind on our back. Like normally that's the thing.
There was a breeze. Yeah. It was a slight crosswind.
Okay.
But it wasn't working to our advantage. It was kind of. You could set up a tiny bit of an echelon in there to kind of protect yourself a little bit, but if you're on the front, you felt it.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, I was surprised that I was kind of like, well, if we had something like that with a little bit of wind on your back, oh man, that would have been insane.
Yeah, we got to really start building these these team time trial teams for the state championship. We got a couple groups. You just grab all three on the spot on the podium. We can put together some solid teams there.
Yeah.
Matt was looking good that day, though. He was looking strong on the bike.
I've
been riding a lot. Yeah. Been riding a lot, for sure. No, it's going okay.
You were solid on our Century. I mean, you were consistent the entire day. Like you said, you felt good at the end of the ride, which anybody who feels good at the end of a Century is in shape.
I think that wrecked me for this whole week, though. I felt like every single day of the week, I would like go and I'd hop on the bike and do a couple miles or whatever. And anytime I would want to like push a little bit, we rode on Tuesday or something.
Yeah,
I was like anytime I wanted to push, I was like, I just don't have that extra gear. It was just like I was just worn out, which is fine. I mean, I'm in the thick of training, so it's
not. Asked if you want to ride one day. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is what I know. People ask me, they're like, "Oh, with all those train hours, like, I mean, you feeling good through all those?" Like, no, I'm tired the whole time. Like, it's just a consistent level of fatigue.
You can still go out there and do it. You just don't have that high end stuff. It was painful.
But you did look good on Saturday. And another thing that I noticed,
if you're hanging onto that train, absolutely.
I was behind Matt dodging his sweat bullets. Was kind of funny. The whole Matrix thing.
I sweat really bad.
You're spitting out of your mouth.
It's not a big deal though. We all sweat, but you're looking like you're a little bit more cut and chiseled. I know it's kind of weird to say to you, but your legs look like they're showing more definition and strength. So you're getting stronger on the bike, and I think that you're leaning out a little bit and you're getting stronger. So that's good coming up onto your.
This is a.
I gotta fix the running still. It's not perfect. My calves really hurt right now.
This is how cycling men compliment each other. It's like your calves are looking nice and cut, and your arms are looking skinny.
You're looking lean. When I'm saying like you're looking lean, that means that's a compliment.
Think about the opposite of how. And Jake has been in both communities. You've been in the endurance community. You've been in the gym community. The difference in how you compliment somebody's fitness is hilarious. It's two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Like if you told somebody like
you're looking skinny, that's great.
You're looking ripped. You're huge.
Could you imagine?
Huge
Like if I'm in my pre-race, so like right now I'm trying to get down to race weight, and if Matt came in here and told me like, "Man, you've been lifting, you're looking big," I would be so bummed out. I'd be like, "Oh God, dang it!"
Dang.
Yeah. All right,
Jake, how's your week?
Mm-hmm. Good. Gather you're done with your back
Sure, good enough.
I went out and drum roll please, did my first road race at PR on Monday night. A week ago tonight. So that was fun. I was a little nervous. I was a little anxious going into it, not because of like the race and the competition component of it. It's just like I'm so worried about crashing.
I was worried for you.
Yeah. And we had a big field of people. I mean, all like the group that we went out with, there was about 50 people.
It's a nice day for it too, wasn't it? Yep.
So we went out there and 14 or 15 laps. It was just shy of 30 miles. I think it was like 28 or 27, 28, somewhere in there miles. And it was good. We went out and did the first 7 laps at a pretty stiff pace, and there was a couple breakaway attempts, and there was a group that left right off the start, and there was probably like 4 or 5 minute break. So they were out there for a while, and I was thinking that, man, if they ring the preem lap bell, those guys are going to get it. So like it's going to come down to a sprint. But we managed to reel those guys back in before they rang the bell for the first time, and came around lap 7, rang the bell. So we had that one lap. Whoever came across first got 6 points. I think second place gets 4 points and third place gets 1 point. I missed it by just a nose, getting 6 points. So I ended up getting 4 points, which was good. And I'm like, I can't believe there's some strong dudes out there
sprinting that well right now. That's huge.
But I'll talk about my shoulder in a second.
I was going to say that's
anyhow. Then we came around for the next preem lap, which was probably lap like 10, and I had some teammates in there, and one of them was able to give me a pretty good lead out in the first one. I was in a good position. The second time, there were some guys that kind of broke off the front. It didn't make sense for us to try and just bridge up to them and burn matches to get into a sprint and then probably get dropped by the field. So we missed the second one, and then we came around for lap 14, which was the final lap. And I was in a really good spot. Teammate was going to lean me out again. It was almost looking a lot like it was for the preem lap. And
who was the teammate?
Rodrigo Colon.
Oh yeah, Rodrigo. Yeah.
So we come around the last bend, and you could see the 4-5 group in between us.
Oh God.
And the finish line. And so you've got, I don't know, maybe 800 meters or something like that.
That's not
good.
And
we caught them at about 300 meters out, if I'm not mistaken. So they all kind of squished over the right. We all went left, and everybody's ramping up trying to find wheels, and you have to compress everything down. So it's like accordion. It's going to compress down, and accordions on the back a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I hope I get the right wheel. And then when we came around them, we were probably 250, 200 meters out, and then it opened up again. But there still isn't a lot of room for you to find the right people because everybody's
because
like
the draft is skinny down.
Yeah, and everybody's jockeying for the best wheels and positions, and I thought I was in a good spot. There's a guy that I know has got great legs.
Yeah.
And there's a story to why he did what he did, but I was in the perfect line, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can mix it up, and I didn't think I was going to win the sprint, but I can at least finish in like maybe the top 3, 4, or 5 and get more points and then just get a better finish. Well, the guy that I thought was going to be a great asset to me ended up sitting up. He sat up with about 150 meters to go. I'm like, no, because the guys that were on his wheel, they squeezed right when around him, and then there was nowhere for me to go. So I literally had to slow down and almost brake.
Yeah.
Going into the sprint
with 150 meters.
I'm like, that's not good. So finally get around him, and I got back up to sprint, and I passed a few guys, and I don't even know where I came in the final, but it wasn't even in the top 10, I think is where you get points. I didn't even get a point from that. So anyway, what had happened was they started the race, and there were still some guys out warming up, and I think they might have started a few minutes earlier than everybody was anticipating, and they might have started just early in general, which was bad on them. But they called on the bullhorn, they blew the whistle, and they told everybody to get up there. And I even rolled up, and I'm like, because I didn't see my teammate, I'm like, this is the 1, 2, 3 field, right? And he's like, oh yeah, you're good. I'm like, all right. And I'm looking around, I'm like, well, maybe he'll roll up. And then they sent us out, and well, what happened was there was probably a half dozen guys that didn't hear that, and they came out and they were a lap down. So they're not going to not race, but they're not going to get points for it.
Dead sprint at the end.
Exactly. So what they were doing is they're still going out there getting the workout, and they were leading out teammates.
And then just letting it go after that.
Exactly. So one of the other guys that has strong legs, I mean, he's like the series champ leader right now, Philippe Nystrom. He's super, super strong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sweet, I got his wheel. That he sat up because he was just done. And I'm like, oh.
That's a shame for him points-wise. That's a loss,
Yeah, it's just one race, though. It's just bicycle racing. It's not like we're getting paid millions of dollars.
Nope.
It's just a,
he's still fast either way.
So when it all broke down and the results came out, I got 9th place overall. So
good,
not too bad. And had that gone differently, I maybe could have got 4th or 5th place, which was really cool.
Do you get team points for that, or
if I keep racing,
or it's like a total at the end?
Exactly. Okay. It's based on how you do overall, and you have to place as well as you can each week to get a good overall standing. So it's a little bit more work to get some points for the team,
but I know we talk about this on a week-to-week basis, Jake, and I know the shoulder's been something that's taken so long to rehab and just from the crash, but like thinking about where you are fitness wise now from where, you were like right, a month after that injury and how down you were from there, to think that you're just right back mixing it up with the best guys in this region that's
crazy.
big.
Yeah. I still need to get stronger there.
I know you stay humble with it, but let's be honest. Right now, like, I should be a guy who's able to drop you on a climb. I don't feel confident dropping you on any climb right now, and that kind of scares me, to be honest. So that's just showing the level of fitness that Jake's actually at right now.
Coming around, I'm still trying to drop weight. And speaking of, we never did finish our weight challenge.
I know.
And I got somebody called me out
let it
on
go.
somebody called me out on that over this weekend, and I shouldn't have said anything. And I told him like, shh, don't tell anybody. I'm trying to sneak up on him. Come for the sneak attack.
I gained a lot of weight. Like,
did you?
Yeah. So
I am not 146 pounds. That's for sure.
Somebody stepped on the scale, and they're only like 2 pounds away.
You're 2 pounds away.
Yep.
I don't think Lance is there, and he's not here.
Who knows?
I don't know.
So we should, we got to finalize that.
I told him like I think we just all kind of let it go because nobody was accomplishing it.
I did hit the numbers.
You did
a couple times, but yeah.
But they weren't 3
They
consecutive
weren't
days,
consecutive.
right?
They weren't consecutive.
We needed 2 consecutive days, and Matt never
consecutive
came back and said he did, and I figured he would. So
Because I hit mine one day.
Did
I
you?
remember I hit mine one day, and that's when I realized that that's not even an attainable. Like, that's not
I may have
something
even
I should
hit
ever
that
be
number
trying to
too
hit.
after our ride this past Saturday.
Yeah.
But anyway,
We'll get back to that.
Shoulder was very fatigued that night.
would
Not
imagine.
hurt, but it was
Tired
like
as hell.
had I gone to physical therapy and maybe did like a double session with you,
Yeah.
and just putting me through the ringer.
Would have been toast.
It was like it got a serious workout, but it survived.
Did it get tight, or were you still?
It got a
range
little
of
bit tighter
motion was
the
okay?
next morning, but I did my exercises and stretched just some
Good.
light stuff, and it felt a little bit better.
Good.
But I think that hopefully that was good for it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was good for it.
Yeah.
So
Same idea with like a max lift. I mean, you're just testing that neurological capacity of it, and
well, I tested it.
if
out
you're
for
taking
sure.
that preem lap in a 1, 2, 3 field, I think that's about as much of a max effort on that shoulder as you're going to get.
Yeah, and so lots of watts and all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
and
What was your wattage on that sprint? Do you know? Did you take a peek?
I don't know. It was like a little over 1,300 watts. God. But that
Really,
was over like
really similar to mine.
Yes.
Really similar.
800,
I don't know.
1,300.
Same
Same, but different. Yeah.
Anyway,
Just round up. You just round
Exactly. 500.
and then we had some good rides during the week. Went out, rode with Matt, and all that good stuff. Good training, and then we did that that last minute Multnomah Falls ride. I was hoping to see Matt out there, and we did. I was hoping that we'd see him
Eventually.
sooner, but I think where we found him, I couldn't have dialed it up better because we were having fun. It was really fun coming around.
I can't. I'm so going to be a part of these rides in June. I can't wait. I did an annoyingly specific workout on Saturday, and I did not want to be that guy on a great ride like
I
the
think it's
Multnomah
good
ride,
for you to kind of have some time to focus and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and I have to do it intermittently. But as soon as we get through Blue Lake here coming up, I hope we go to St. Helens soon. I want to do that ride with the guys. I want to go on all the Saturday rides. And, yeah.
So had fun there, and like I said, we were putting, like Matt said, we were putting down some pretty serious watts, and I was looking back and the power profile the next morning, because that night I was gassed. I was tired. I'm like, oh, geez, I don't even have time to or desire to go look at my power numbers. Went to bed early, got up the next morning, still kind of tired. Went and looked at the power numbers. I'm like, yep, that's why.
Yep.
But then again, fast forward to Sunday, got up again. I'm like, man, I'm still tired today. And then I think I'm coming down with a little something in my chest. So I think that might be
This is the problem with good fitness. Walking that immune system line.
Yeah.
Like a tightrope.
But it was a great weekend. We had a fun team ride out to Multnomah Falls. It was a small team. It was last minute kind of impromptu with Chris Hamill and Jay Small. And then we had a couple other people from the club side that joined us, and then we met up with them. And it was just a freaking beautiful, fantastic day. Rode all the way out there, had some espresso.
That was my thought process. Like, ooh, if I make it down to the waterfalls, there's a coffee place.
Yeah.
I know. Thought about it.
It's only another
coffee
7
ride.
miles or something
Not
like that,
bad.
8 miles from
Yep.
from Crown Point. But beautiful weekend, boys.
Beautiful weekend.
Guess what?
We got a few more of them coming up.
No, rain's coming.
The rain is coming this week, but that's good because
I'll be gone, so
You'll be gone.
I'll be in Chattanooga where it's supposed to be sunny. So there you
water
go.
my plants. The Leadout.
All right.
Let's lead out some news.
Lead out.
All right.
There's some big bike racing news coming up.
There's some-
This is the fun
this is-
part of
this
the year
is the
for
fun
me.
part.
Oh
Yeah,
god, I
this
love
is
talking
great.
about this. Yeah.
On that note, why don't you start us off, Evan?
So I'll be our wider spectrum view
Wider
for
spectrum,
today.
sure.
So our cycling fans know, and if you don't, I'll continue to try and update you as we know. As the Giro d'Italia got underway this week, it had a really cool prologue. So for anybody who watches
I think
Grand
they made it stage
Tours-
1, I thought. I thought they changed it from prologue to stage 1. Is that not true?
Ooh, that's a great question. It may have been. So
It was
I
gonna be a
thought
prologue.
generally a prologue has to be under 10K, and I believe it was an 8K race.
Oh, I thought it was 14K.
I believe. Oh, you may be right. If it was 14K, it was considered stage 1. And are you right? I'm looking now.
We'll find out in just a second.
You go ahead and check that, but I'll talk about the results here. Let me look. No, it was an 8 kilometer course,
Okay.
which means it was probably considered a prologue.
Nice. I'm probably getting it mixed up with something else. Yep.
So historically, the prologue is known as. I really like to hear like the historical significance of these prologues, and they talk about how it's kind of the introduction of the main characters always. And in the cycling world, you may look at it and be like, well, these races last 250K. What, like, the prologue shouldn't even matter. Like, why does it matter if, you're getting 10 seconds there? But the riders here, this is, especially if you've been in races like these weekend, even, 3-stage races, if you see a guy put down that first place number who's a contender, that is scary to everybody else there.
Yeah.
Especially on this course, because this course had flat and then it ended with a pretty decent punchy climb right at the end that goes up to a basilica on a hill. And it's a beautiful shot. Like, the nice thing about the Giro is if it's just a beautiful tour. Like, everywhere they go. So to me, it's almost watching the full race when I'm on the trainer is actually not a bad thing, because you're just getting these beautiful helicopter views.
It's kind of like watching the tour too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just beautiful
Going
countryside.
through, the Pyrenees
go
and the
there.
tour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the whole time you're just playing. You're like, I need to do these rides before. So there's this Giro has a really cool general contenders list. There's Simon Yates, young, very fast. I like him a lot. So he races for Michelin Scott. He's been with them for a long time. In his young career, he's already been with them for a few years. And this is last year he had held the pink jersey for I think 18 stages. And then epically blew up in whatever the Queen stage was.
Yeah.
And when I say
Stage
blew up,
17 or
he
something.
lost he lost a lot of time.
Yeah.
So this year he's come in apparently pretty cocky, which is cool. I actually kind of like it because I love his team. His Michelin Scott team has a YouTube channel that's really cool to follow.
Yeah.
And he came in saying, he said, quote unquote, if I was another rider, I'd be scared of me right now.
Mr. Nibali did not like that.
Mr. Nibali did not like that. He said it was disrespectful, which I love hearing that
That's
back
so
and
weird.
forth.
It's not that disrespectful.
I mean, Nibali is very Italian though,
yeah.
and I think so.
Do you like Nibali?
I do.
Okay.
I like him.
Because you always pull for Italians, don't
Yeah.
you? Yep.
So who I don't like is Fabio Aru.
Oh, okay.
I like Nibali because he's hard, he's disciplined, he's actually not as Italian as people would think he is. He's almost more of like a German rider. He's very hard, specific, good, kind of humble guy. He's not your typical flamboyant sort of Italian rider, but he's going to be a contender. He did very well in the stage in the prologue. He was third behind Simon Yates, which was tough for him. Because I think after having said that to Yates, then going out there and getting beat by Yates was probably rough.
Yep.
Yeah, but they were close. Yeah.
To wrap up the update before we update next week with some tougher stages, in the pink is Primož Roglič, who did really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really well. He won by 20 seconds.
That's big.
That's crazy.
And that's massive over 8K.
8K?
8K. And he put Tom Dumoulin was fifth, and he put almost 30 seconds into Tom. And I'll tell you what, if I was Tom, I'd be pretty scared because you're supposed to be getting time on Roglič in the TTs, because I don't think he's going to be able to get it on him on the climbs.
To defend my Dumoulin pick, he has not had a good season, but he's
like hardly raced at all.
But he's got 3 weeks. Like, that's the thing. This is a very long race. It's a long race, a long tour. A lot of people actually will come. If you come in with a lot of fitness, it's almost a little bit dangerous, right? Because then you're like, am I going to fizzle out at the end of this 3-week tour?
See. We will see.
So,
but yes,
fingers crossed.
Chapter 2 next week.
Early.
We will see.
It's so early.
It is.
It's like people getting their panties in a ruffle when a team loses like its first game in a football season, or like first 5 games in a baseball season.
Goes 0-4 in the preseason. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of that, though, there is a young rider who was doing his first professional race. It was a Japanese rider. Poor kid. He was so anxious and worked up about this being his first race that he hardly slept at all, and I think he had some GI issues or something along those lines.
Yep.
And he didn't make the time cut. on his first stage of his first race. And
which, let me put it this way, I think you have to be less than 4 minutes down on an 8-kilometer time trial course, which
did not make it.
Not a long,
he was
not a long race.
Over a minute behind the next to last place finisher.
Oh,
so
God.
poor kid. So,
yeah. Well,
live and learn. It'll make for a good story for him down the road.
There you go. Yep.
All right. Hey, Matt, you got some news for us?
Also in the professional cycling world, Tour of California.
Yep.
Just started.
On the national news, yeah.
National news.
Yeah.
Yes.
Becoming a big time race.
I know. So this recording will go out on Wednesday, so we'll be right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the race started on Sunday, and Peter Sagan took the first stage.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And usually what they do is they start outside of Sacramento and they come into Sacramento, they do a loop or whatever, but it's a sprint. It's a sprint one. And it's pretty cool. Like he, just did his thing. It looked close. There was a US guy that almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
And Peter Sagan held on. So it'll be cool to see how he does throughout. I bet you he'll have a chance to get a couple wins.
He's had such a tough season so far. He needed to go out. He loves the Tour of California too, and they love him there, which is really cool.
How cool would it have been to be the rider from the U.S. that
that
got to dice it up with Sagan? Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
It would have been a little bit cooler if he won, but
that's a story you tell the grandkids.
So today is Monday. We recorded this podcast on Monday, and it's it's a mountain stage. It's Rancho Cordova to South Lake Tahoe, so they're getting into the mountains.
When is the Mount Baldy stage?
I think that it might be Friday. That's Friday, May 17th.
Next time we have a training camp and we're in that neck of the woods, we're gonna go. I've done that before.
Well, we couldn't do it, right?
No, we could have, but it was kind of snowed out up there a little bit when we were there for camp. But
we do a summer camp.
Yeah. The Crystal Lake to Mount Baldy climb is spectacular, and that Mount Baldy is nuts. It's super steep. I did that ride probably a month and a half before I moved here to Camas, and it was a kind of a nice little send off. Ride with some friends down there, and I'd love to take you guys down because that's a fun day.
Sounds so fun. Absolutely. We just do the whole tour of California. Let's just do it.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
All right, real quick news here for me. I think we might come back to Matt for something else here in a second, but for me, a local bill passed here in the state of Oregon, which is right next to Washington where we're at, but it's applicable to us because we do a fair amount of riding there. But it was House Bill 2682, which basically clarifies the definition of what a bike lane is going into an intersection. And what's kind of nice here is that they consider some judges that were saying that cyclists were at fault for riding through an intersection and cars were turning turning right into them. So now it says that, So if there's a bike lane that goes into an intersection and all of a sudden all the painted lines stop going in an intersection, which is pretty normal, it defines the fact that a bike lane continues through that said intersection and that cars have to yield to bikes that are going straight through.
Are there any bike lanes that go through an intersection? I've never seen that.
It doesn't. There's no paint, and there's sometimes you'll get like a little bit of a speckled line. They'll show cars where to turn left or right, but there's no bike lanes that they carry through an intersection. Sometimes you'll see the green painted paths in like pretty high densely populated areas, but that just redefines what bicyclists are supposed to be doing. That's great. However, how many motorists do you think are going to know that's the law?
Nobody.
So I just wanted to come on here and say, hey, if you ride a bicycle and you
drive a car
and drive a car and just live in the state of Oregon, tell all of your friends and family and tell them to tell a friend that don't run us over. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And just make sure you stay off the line.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. At least through intersections you can stay off the line. So
and in that same breath,
white line.
in that same breath here where we're at, and I'm sure it's going to start popping up in other states too. There is a law. They call it the Idaho Stop, and it's been in effect in Idaho for 35 years now. And basically what that is that cyclists, if there is a stop sign or a red flashing light, they don't have to come to a full and complete stop. I think, Evan, you actually mentioned this a while ago, and I'm like, it was like when we were talking about bicycle law.
Because it's funny, we never called them Idaho stops. We just called them California rolls, actually, I think is what we would call them.
From the cars. California, nobody stops in anything down there. But I was curious on that, and that's why I want to look this up just to clarify what the law is. Like legally, you still have to come to a full and complete stop. I think coming to like a track stand is okay, but that's legally what you're supposed to do. Most cyclists don't do that. They'll slow down to like half mile, a mile an hour, 2-3 miles an hour at worst. If there's no cars in the intersection, it could be even a little bit worse than that. It's a very gray area. Is a cop going to give you a ticket on that? Probably not, unless there's a lot of cars. It's kind of like the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law.
I've seen some stuff on my Facebook recently from friends of mine in other states that have actually gotten pretty pricey tickets
they
from
do
that
down
recently.
in California
Yeah,
as well.
both of them were from California.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's where I've seen it.
There's a Senate bill that has passed committee, Senate Bill 998, that will bring the Idaho stop to the state of Oregon and fingers crossed to the state of Washington as well, so that cyclists can treat those situations, the red flashing light or a stop sign, like a yield sign, so they don't have to come to a full and complete stop. And there will be kind of like you just have to treat it safely. It's kind of subjective in some of the language that I was reading, but I'm sure that they'll give a specific example. I would hate to see a cyclist blowing through there. Yeah. Even going just 10 miles an hour is probably too fast. But, if getting down to 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, that's not a big deal because you can stop on a dime pretty quickly if necessary.
Exactly.
So,
and if there's other if there are other cars there, just follow the car rules.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's now I've seen plenty of times where people will just wave me through, which I think is great. And I give a big wave, happy as heck, thank you.
Try to
but
say
like,
thank you, yeah.
Oh yeah, as much as you can. But yeah, if there's I hate when I see that when cyclists will pull up and there's like lines of cars, they'll skid up the right and then just go. It's like, come on, like that's when we get now 20 motorists that hate a cyclist for a day, and that's so.
Anyway, just wanted to kind of bring that up real quick. Matt, is there any tech stuff that you want to talk about?
Definitely might want to consider updating your Garmin's. There's a couple updates that have come through. They had their big developer conference. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. They announced a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things they've made it easier for you, if you use Training Peaks or something like that, it's easier for not just Training Peaks, but other companies too, to be able to pull workouts and things like that into your Garmin computer. They've opened up developer APIs. It used to cost something like $5,000 to be able to purchase a license to use Garmin APIs. They've changed that. They've made it much more realistic for any developers to kind of access data.
I'm going to press pause on you right there. So now I'm going to lobby for you to bring that stupid picture up back. Well, not stupid, that fantastic picture. Because you don't want to pay $5,000 to be a developer with it, right?
So actually, when I made that app, I was going around the Garmin developer APIs. Ooh, sneaky. So that was it's kind of one of the reasons that it would fail so often is because you're kind of using a backdoor access to kind of get access to all this cycling data and things like that. But if they change anything, then all of a sudden your app just stops working. So if you use what they are suggesting, which is, the normal Garmin developer APIs, that stuff is pretty locked and loaded and it should work.
I'd love to see them bring that back. I liked using that app.
Yeah, I know.
That's just my 2 cents, but I know it's a lot of work for you. So
Yep. Oh, someday,
I'll subscribe. I'll pay you money.
Yeah.
Matt
so
just made $3.
How do you upload to Strava again?
Jeez.
Yeah, Strava. It's the internet. You have to use the internet.
I'm going to take a month and study this stuff, and I'm going to be like Matt's partner in this in 1 month.
There it is.
All right. In the vein of releases, Shimano announced its first gravel-dedicated Gruppo. That's kind of cool, the Shimano GRX.
Yeah, and there's a set of 3, right? I think there's a set of 3.
3 tiers. You've got several different options within these tiers. You've got your mechanicals. You've got the electronic Di2. You've got this is something I thought was kind of cool. They are designed to be used with either road cassettes or mountain bike cassettes. You don't have to have the gravel specific cassette as well as the chains.
Is it one by or just?
I think that they have several different options, but I think
is everything just going to go to one by here soon? I mean, is this the writing on the wall?
I don't know. I know. I think that there's still there's a 1 by and a 2 by option. I think that you have those options to choose from. So, but their group set just consists of the crank, the shift levers, the front rear derailleurs. So by the fact of them having a front derailleur, they are going to be a 2 by or a 1 by situation. Yep. You got the brakes, and they actually have a gravel specific set of wheels too. Not that I'm super interested in Shimano gravel specific wheels, but that's cool that they've got that option out there.
What's interesting is from a kind of couple steps back, looking at the perspective, they're doing gravel components.
Yep.
That's
off-roading is becoming.
I think it's a thing, man.
It's going to be bigger and bigger.
They're seeing the trend, and
we seem to live in a good region for that too. So I'm pretty excited about that.
It's just when have they done components for gravel before?
Never.
This is it. This is the first time I've ever seen this.
A lot of it's just been adaptations of the road stuff and maybe mixing it with the cyclocross stuff. Exactly. So, and I will tell you, just by looking at my Strava feed, I've got lots of friends, and when I'm looking through there, I see a lot of people doing gravel rides.
There's a lot of gravel rides.
They're fun.
There are. Yeah.
I mean, they've got.
I even know triathletes who will ride gravel for their training. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's our news.
Cool.
Cool. Let's move into our topic for today. And there was a cool little article put out by BBC that a friend of ours on the team, and he's a podcast listener, Mark Radford, put out.
Cool. Yeah.
And it was called "Why the Bicycle Future Looks So Bright." And we will post this article up on our Facebook page, the Dial Podcast Facebook page, for you to go read through. But there were some cool things in there that I thought were kind of interesting for us to kind of go back and look at with respect to like the history of the bicycle. And then they're talking about like, a little bit of present day and age and stuff. And then just talking about the future and why it's looking so good. Wanted to run through some of these topics and see what you guys had to say.
I love the positivity from this article. I feel like the last year, like 2018, had a lot of like very negative articles surrounding the cycling world. I like that, this is kind of giving a different spin on it. And I like to look at it a little bit more positively, Yeah.
I'll bring the negative side.
Bring it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because I agree with a lot. I really think that there's a lot more positives than negatives to look at.
Oh,
here.
yeah. I think so too. Absolutely.
Well, and think about it. So markets respond to demand. Look at what the cycling community is continuing to do. E-bikes, gravel bikes.
Yeah.
There's different types of cycling that is now becoming more popular.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't be making e-bikes if people weren't buying e-bikes, and they wouldn't be making a gravel group set if that's
e-bikes are the fastest growing segment of cycling.
I see them out every single time I go on a ride now. I see at least one out
Do
there.
you really?
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
I think
Yesterday I
they're
saw one,
fantastic for so many different reasons. I know that the purists still don't like them, but if you stop and you take yourself out of that mindset and look at all the practical applications of it, they're fantastic. It's one less car on the road too. So.
Exactly.
So Matt, what are some of your downsides?
Okay. No, well, so this is like future of bicycling looks bright kind of. Here's my rebuttal. One of the things the article will say, and we can get into this, is self-driving cars are on the brink. I completely agree with that.
Yep.
But we're not there yet.
Nope.
In which case, from now until the point where the majority of the cars are self-driving will be the most dangerous time to be a cyclist in the history of history.
Yeah. So the $1 million question is, how big is that window? How long is that learning curve going to be? And is that going to like go past our lifetime?
Well, I think it's,
or is it going to take up all of our quality bicycle riding years left?
Yes, that's what I think
so?
it's going to do. I think it's going to take our quality years, like a 10-year time frame, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably our quality time frame. Evan, maybe have a couple more years.
Ooh, I'm lucky.
but here's the thing. Drivers are getting more and more distracted.
Oh, yeah.
By cell phones, basically.
People are getting
or whatever's next.
People are also getting angrier and angrier.
People are getting angry.
Yeah.
You got people with smart watches. People with they're going to have smart glasses.
Yeah.
They're going to have lots and lots more distractions. Those aren't going.
Sure.
I mean, that's going to happen. It's just your car itself can be a distraction until you get to the point where self-driving cars take over, which is going to be safer, and it's going to be safer to be out biking.
Yep.
But we're just not there yet.
I agree with you 100% on that.
It's sad because I want to bike as much as possible, but right now I think it's the most dangerous time in history to be, out on the road, without full on protection of some sort, just like, what are you going to do? Wrap yourself in bubble wrap? There's just nothing you can do when a car comes at you. Like they are big and they're distracted. And I think we have a fair amount of time left where things are probably going to get potentially worse before they get better. So does the future look bright? Yes, absolutely.
Internationally, it looks very bright. I know this article mentions India, and having been there, you're talking about China, India, ton of bike commuting there.
Yeah.
Especially China. Beijing, you have to if you have a car, I think your license only requires you in some cities, you're only allowed to be on the road for certain hours of the day, depending on your license. That's how they control traffic there, which means I do not know the statistics, so somebody can correct me on it, but there is a massive group of people in China that commute to work. I think most people commute to work on bikes.
Yeah.
So
it's it's more of a luxury item for sure, but it's becoming a lot more popular. Cars are definitely getting more popular in China. So I think it should be super interesting next couple years. One quick quote, which is a bit more positive, just because I hate to be Debbie Downer all the time. Bill Nye, this is one of his many bicycle quotes. I guess he's a fair amount of a cyclist. Yeah. Bicycling is a big part of the future. It has to be. There is something wrong with society that drives a car to work out in a gym.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more.
Right?
Could not agree more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there,
we live in a weird time.
We live in a weird time.
We live in a really weird time.
Yeah.
Think about that. People now consider I mean, you talk to people in their 90s about what they used to do to work out. They wouldn't know what that phrase means. Their life was a work,out.
Yeah.
Doing things daily. You worked in the yard. You went to a job that was probably a manual job, and you rode your bike to and from it.
You didn't you didn't walk whatever it is. You
Yeah.
were like, you wouldn't drive to the gym and drive around
and
looking for a
who
parking
was counting
spot.
their steps at that point?
No one's
This has
counting
been the
their
most
steps.
hilarious thing to me. And trust me, being a physical therapist, I could see this on a daily basis.
Oh man.
People are like, "Oh, I got my 10,000 steps," and I was like, "Yeah, but what did you do today?" That was, I
But
mean,
that's a good thing because it's forcing them or challenging
It
them to
is.
get up and be more active.
It is.
If we didn't have that,
Oh
be
God,
worse.
I don't
people
know,
would
man.
just be
I
like
don't know.
a sloth, like dripping out of their chair.
Yeah.
Just, ugh.
We're moving we're moving two different directions. I will say it is becoming easier to be sedentary, but it's funny to me because there's still this drive and internal core in human beings to move and move frequently. And I think that you see that in these endurance sports populations where you still have these people doing these crazy races and things. You're like, why would somebody do that? I was like, I think it's innate in humans to do that. And so you're seeing these two directions. And I mean, we want to talk about why are people so angry and stuff. Well, we have anxiety disorders riddled all over this country.
Yeah.
You think it has anything to do with people getting more sedentary?
Absolutely.
It's the cause. It's not
Well,
one of the
that
causes.
nutrition.
Yeah, you want to combine those two together.
Yeah.
You can solve a lot of, you can figure out a lot of the problems in this country with, I mean, it's like I was riding with Alan on Saturday when we were doing our TT sets. We're on Washougal and Camas.
Yeah.
There's not that many cars back there. Me and Alan are doing a good job of being over the right. And we, got screamed at like 3-4 times. Like guys yelling out their windows. There's no other cars. It is 10 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you be that angry at 10 a.m. on a Saturday when it's 75 degrees and beautiful in the Pacific Northwest?
Well, you inconvenience them by like 3 or 4 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
You ruin their entire day.
I know. It's incredible. That's a lot of power. I have a lot of power to ruin somebody's day, apparently.
we had someone kind of, same sort of thing, like honk and yell at us as they came by. And Bob Croucher just yelled he was so funny. He's like,
I love
hey,
Bob.
hey, sorry we made you late for your coffee stop or something. So I was just like, yep, that's what it is. Because it's like Saturday morning, like he was late for his coffee.
Yeah.
It was something funny that he said. It was.
Do you think that people in the Netherlands where everybody rides a bike there, do they
Do they get yelled at?
I don't know. I mean,
I know in Britain they do. I know Britain's got some serious problems,
Brits,
but also
they're very similar to us.
yeah, I was gonna say
United States.
Britain and America are probably pretty comparable.
Yeah, grumpy
I don't
people.
know.
I think just more people need to go ride bikes and have a respect for A, being a person riding a bike exposed out on the road, but B, like understand that we're happy people because we're out getting exercise and having fun. And
I know.
We're really not making you that much later for whatever it is that you're doing.
When I was in India and I was running on those rural roads, I know whenever a truck would have to pass me or anybody would have to pass me in a motorized vehicle, they'd always wave.
Yeah.
There was always a wave. I never once got yelled at there. Not once.
Yeah, we could go off on this.
I don't know.
Diatribe all day long.
Yeah.
We always
end up down this.
We always do, yeah.
We always end up down this rabbit hole.
Damn it,
And,
people, just be nice.
All
All right, so jumping back on to bicycles in general, I think a big part of this article too was kind of looking back at like where it started and where it's come from, and some of the things that it's done over the past years to help society, and people have lost sight of that. I mean, the first road in the United States was made for bicycles.
Yes.
Nothing else. And and now said roads have been taken over by cars, so you get the motorists that are always yelling at you, you don't pay your road taxes. Well, you wouldn't have roads if it weren't for me, pal.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I also have a car.
Exactly. But just like neat little things about how the bicycle came to be. In 1865, was it velocipede? Is that how you pronounce that? Like
Sure.
Velocipede kind of thing. Anyway, that was the first bicycle. It was a Frenchman, Pierre, whatever his last name is, I can't remember. La something or other.
Lafleur. We'll go with Lafleur.
Okay. I can't read my own chicken scratch here to pronounce his last name. And then that was superseded by the penny farthing. Could you imagine sitting on top of a 5-foot wheel with direct cranks, like a fixie crank?
I look at these pictures and I'm like,
cool.
how
I
do
just
you
think-
get onto it?
I just think that would be so interesting to ride.
Yeah.
It'd
be incredible.
If we open up a little penny farthing shop, Portland would eat that stuff up.
they would totally.
And then
that'd
if
be
we came
incredible.
up with a penny farthing race category out at PIR,
my gosh.
having guys out there racing penny farthing, how freaking cool would that
That's
be?
my retirement plan right there. Is to be the greatest penny farthing rider
We've
ever.
got penny farthing juniors, like
Yes.
the 3-foot wheel instead of the 5-foot wheel. That would be rad.
I love it.
And then, fast forward a little bit more would be the safety bicycle, which had much more broader appeal. It looks a little more like the modern bicycle that we're used to today. It's got chain drive. It's got equal size wheels. It's got the diamond shaped frame. It's got gears, and it could be ridden in a dress. And that's where things kind of started to change a little bit, because it started to attract a different crowd.
Well, and then you're getting more competitive with like, hey, you can buy a horse or you can buy a bike, and the bike's going to cost
a fraction. You don't have to feed it.
One tenth the cost.
It also
of
has some
the horse.
poop everywhere. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, you got a lot of benefits there.
That's true. Yeah.
So you had a lady back in 1893. Was it Angeline Allen? She was riding around New York, and she was riding without a dress too. She was riding clothes. She was wearing she was wearing her trousers. But my gosh, that made such an uproar. She was wearing trousers. We need to bring that word back. That word
trousers.
Trousers.
We do.
But just that the women's rights movement. You have the likes of Susan B. Anthony saying that bicycling has done more to emancipate women than any other one thing in the world. That is
That's a powerful quote
from a very well-known women's advocate. So, I think that the bicycle has done a lot of cool things historically that people just don't look back and really like understand that that brought women like a huge movement towards they're trying to get women's equal rights and to put them in a position where they can go out there and do things with the men, and don't tell me that I have to be wearing my big hoop dress and I have to act a certain way. I can go jump on a bicycle and have fun and ride around and use it for commuting just like the guys.
But we all agree that women shouldn't be allowed to wear trousers, right?
I don't think anybody should be allowed to wear trousers.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
He's being the devil's advocate today. So, but it's cool because I think when you look at this, and we've all talked about this in here. Why do we love bicycles? It's that moment of freedom when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see if you look at history. How do you empower a civil rights movement?
Yeah.
Freedom. Yeah.
You think about those feelings and those feelings that humans naturally bring up, but it's just completely random story. But over the weekend, I was driving back a buddy of mine who worked with me at Proactive, and he bikes everywhere. So it was kind of late at night, so I put his bike on my rack and drove him back. And he was talking about when he started to ride his bike to and from work, which is about an 8-9 mile ride for him. Jake knows him. Sean works in the clinic. Yeah. And Sean has had, a great guy, awesome guy, and he's going to do well in the future, but had kind of a rough year this last year. And he said when he started riding his bike to and from work, it was so interesting. Now, we had both, he had kind of opened up about, kind of his fear of being on the roads at first with the bike. But since then, he says he's become very empowered to do other things in his life, to take control of his life in other ways.
Sure.
And he made the interesting point. He said, the poor guy got his car stolen for a little bit recently.
Oh.
And he said it was great because he had said if it hadn't been this year, and Jake was somebody who actually really promoted him to keep on riding his bike too, which I thought was cool, Jake. But he said he would have really gone down a bad spiral otherwise because it was tough for the situation he is in life right now.
Yeah.
He said it was empowering to have that bike and still say like, hey, this is a bad situation. This sucks.
I remember first getting started in that clinic, and I understand how a clinic works, and I understand the hierarchy there. And I know that physical therapy aides don't make a lot of money, but they're more there for the experience because that's the direction that they're going. They want to become a physical therapist.
And it's a tough point in their life too. I'd been there too. It's financially you're struggling.
Sure.
It's
so
tough.
he's got a fiance, and he's trying to take steps forward. He's a great guy. Super cool guy.
He is.
And he wasn't able to ride his bike because he hit something and his wheel was like way out of whack. And he probably just didn't have money to take it to a shop to get through. They're going to probably charge him $35-$40. I'm like, just give it to me. And I'm over here with one broken wing and one good arm, and I threw it up in the stand. It probably took me 3 times longer than it would normally take, but I trued it up for him, and like he like, how much do I? I'm like, no, don't worry about it. And we're talking about like riding and stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, it's kind of hard to ride because it's still kind of dark out in the morning. I'm like, next time I came in, brought him a light.
Yep.
So, but just giving it to him because now you got this guy who's empowered. He can go out and ride his bike, and he's going to be happy. He's going to be out there, and he's going to tell other people to go ride bikes.
The last 2 weeks, he's ridden. He used to do just 3 days a week. He would commute. He commuted each day. The last 2 weeks, and he's starting to really enjoy it.
And we turned him on to Strava.
So
got him going
Strava's
on Strava.
all his rides
and
now.
I talked to him about segments and how to build a segment. And
he could teach you how to use Strava.
There you go. Sean is further along with his cycling technology than I am at this moment.
By
Yes.
far, yeah.
But it's cool because he's going out there and he's like challenging himself now. He's
Yeah.
trying to get stronger and faster on the bike.
He is.
And you guys at where Evan works, he's got a board with all the records on there, and there's a record over there, and it's very specific.
Sean's bike ride.
Sean's bike ride, and you've got the moving time. And it was fun during the time that I've
Yeah.
been there for 5 months or 6 months, however long it's been. You can see that time
Yeah.
starting to shrink down a little bit. Like,
It
hey,
is.
attaboy.
It is.
So
He had one day where he had a tailwind for it. It's gonna be tough for him to touch that again because he knew, like, when he said that, he was like, "Oh God, I'm not gonna be able to touch that again." That tailwind was strong. So.
yeah,
That's awesome.
But
Cool.
yeah, it's. I mean, when we talk about what a bicycle can do,
Yeah.
I think it goes. I don't think we're being cheesy by saying it can empower a movement of people. It really can.
yeah.
And God, we need that in this country now. We got to empower something. Like there's, I don't know, there's a lot of anger in this country and a lot of strife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just being a kid. When I was a kid, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, getting out on my bicycle, I felt empowered.
Yeah.
I felt like I'm free. I feel like I can go out and I'm responsible for myself and my actions. And it's just like you didn't have people telling you what to do and you can go anywhere you wanted to go. I mean, it was like that first day that you got your driver's license, the first time you got behind the car and you're like, I can go anywhere and I get to drive this car.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't quite there yet, but as a kid, I was empowered to go out and ride my bike and have fun. It took me on adventures. So I wish that more people could discover that because you can discover that you don't have to be 8, 9, 10 years old. You can be a grown adult who's
Maybe 45 years old and
Yeah.
discover that. Yeah.
Just go jump on your bike and start building up your fitness. You can go anywhere and that will do so much good for you. So much good for you from a fitness perspective, from a psychological perspective, from a weight management, and like it will change your whole life if you just give it a chance. So
And you save money on gas.
Yep.
You can change your life and save money.
So what are some of the trends telling us? So Matt brought up gravel's coming along
gravel.
strong. Evan touched on e-bikes.
E-bikes, yep.
I see bike shops over the last 10 years. I think they have shrunk by 40%, if my my numbers are correct, and they tell me right. So the
This
bike
is
shops
the confusing part overall.
Well, this
makes sense
I think
when
this
you
is
dig into it.
I think this is a direct to consumer issue. That's what I think this is. As far as like, your bike shops and things like that. People are always going to need maintenance on their bikes. Sure. But I mean, if you look at Canyon and is like kind of the example that I think of, as a direct to consumer company, and they're doing great. They make very nice bikes.
Very nice bikes.
I know a lot of people will buy those and take them to a bike shop and be like, "Can you help me build this?" Because
there are some bike shops that will say, "Nope."
There totally
don't want to touch them. You're on your own, pal.
Yeah. And I think those bike shops are probably crazy.
Yeah.
This is
because
God,
here's the thing.
I hate saying this
Here's
because
the thing: if things are starting to go more and more direct to consumer, and you're a bike shop, and one of the
you got to
things you
change.
do is, I think don't change. That's fine, but you can say no to customers all you want to, but they're going to go somewhere else.
This is, I think, the problem, and it's funny. I had worked in a bike shop, and the guy who owned it, Bob Duncan, one of my favorite people I've ever met, got out of that industry because of these reasons, and
which I think is fine. It's
and Bob was awesome, like as the guy, but he realized at the end of the day, unfortunately, for whatever reason, bike shop communities, there's like this people are almost scared to go in and sometimes bring their bikes into bike shops because there's like this bad stereotype with some bike mechanic culture that is kind of the snobby, like, oh, what, you need me to change your tube? Look at you like you're an idiot and treat you like an idiot.
I love those people.
Yeah.
I do. Honestly, I love them. You know why?
Why?
Because their business comes to me.
Yes, exactly. And this is why when I say Jake's the best bike mechanic in the Pacific Northwest, I'm actually not exaggerating. I truly do mean that. And it's
you've got to do things differently.
Yeah, and the community's got to change. Because I'll tell you what, I think bicycling's growing. The bike shop is what's dying, and it's because of the culture that was developed in bike shops, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah,
So,
I don't, I think that they definitely need to be more nimble and think to themselves, like, I'm not just a specialized dealership. Like, that's not what, that's not what my job is.
You're
Like,
not a used car shop.
I mean,
be careful on that though, because those specialized
Specialized?
stores,
They can hold you by them.
they will basically they'll set you up as a concept store.
Yep.
So they'll set you up and they will come in and they will underwrite all of the store improvements. They will make you look all flashy and all that fun stuff. But then you're stuck with them. You've got to dedicate 80 or 90% of your sales force or floor has to go to those specialized bikes.
and in the next 5 years, there's nothing stopping Specialized from being like, we're going to go direct to consumers. Sorry. Sorry, we're closing your account.
Yeah.
And
with
that's
us.
the bad thing is if those shops continue to say, well, we won't work on Specialized or Canyon, then they're losing money left and right. Then they're losing customers. If I go to a bike shop and I bring them a bike and they say, no, we're not going to work on that, I'm never going back to that shop.
Yeah.
I'm saying, screw you. Yeah, I'm never coming back there. So,
I mean, bike shops are still going to be alive. It's
I
just
would
the
hope
ones
so,
that are going to stay archaic and they're not going to know how to adapt to the times. I mean, there's the whole Amazon effect with the internet, and people are trying. Bike stuff is expensive, and if you can go save a few bucks, then So what you have to do is you've got to go out and you've got to earn that business. You got to figure out a way, and really what it boils down to is just don't have stupid high overhead. And be able to work with people and price match. I mean, it's really not that terribly difficult.
And it was really cool. Speaking of like mechanic-based shops, maybe it needs to develop to where there's places you buy the bikes and places where you're just going to take your bike to work on. And when I was in Reno, there was a really cool shop. There was a community-owned bike shop. And there were these two awesome mechanics that worked there. Two really nice guys. It's where we rented our bikes out of. They just rented, cheap road bikes out of there while I was riding around in Reno. And they had one guy whose job was they had a bunch of bike stands, and he would help people work on their own bikes there. And it was awesome.
Cool.
It was really cool because I was thinking, I'm like, well, you make people more self-sufficient. You charge them for the time that they're there. And it was a community-led bike shop. And it had a lot of recycled parts too. So people would donate their old parts there. They would recycle them down, refurbish them, and give them back to people.
They have something like that in Vancouver. It's really nice, like a community bike center, and people donate a lot of
so
stuff.
Maybe
and parts
those can be more the place that you go like, hey, I need a tube change. You go there. You don't go to the specialized dealer who's,
I do quite a bit of that as well.
Yeah.
And actually have it's listed on my website.
We
It
have
will
like
show
20
you
more
like
of you.
workshops, and there's like,
Workshop.
there's like a workshop that's 1 to 2 hours. There's one that's 3 to 5 hours, and there's one that's like an all day or multi-day kind of process of like doing a complete tear down of your bike and rebuilding it all together.
I need to do
You
that.
do all the work.
Yeah.
I just stand over your shoulder and I will show you all of the tools, how everything works, how it goes back together, and the whole gamut. So and it's a good thing because they're going to go learn it somewhere, and I'd like to be that person because it's still a relationship that you can have with a person.
I don't know that people will go learn it somewhere.
It's called YouTube.
Well, yeah, absolutely. YouTube's fantastic. I love YouTube. Yeah. But I mean, I'm speaking of specific people. Like I'm thinking of, I don't want to call out my older brother, but I'm calling him out. He he's going to take his bike to the bike shop. He has a bike shop that he loves, but he'll take it there for tune-up or whatever it is. And like, I'm not sure
So let me backpedal and tell you, not everybody's going to learn it, but there are people out there that want to be able to do it. They're just like, I don't want to break this, or I don't want to, but they're going to go, dip around on like YouTube, and they're going to try and figure things out. There's going to be a trial and error process there. If those people knew that you provided a service, they're going to come there like, all right, I'm going to pay this one time now, but I'm not going to have to worry about it down the road. Those are the people that I'm talking about. There are plenty of people who are like, I don't have the time, I don't have the desire, and I don't care about giving somebody $70 for a full tune-up on my bike.
That's fine, and I have no problem with that. It's
I unfortunately think I've fallen into that sometimes. I'm being a huge hypocrite during this conversation because I need to come in with Jake and really learn how. We'll just like take some of my skills that have laid dormant for a little bit. I need to kind of reawaken them a little bit. But
there's all different levels of this too, right? There's people that can't change a tire, and there's people that don't want to put oil on their chain. There's things like that. And I just think,
oh well, that's just wild.
I know, but
everybody should be able to change tires.
My gut feeling is that people should want to learn. That's what I'm thinking.
But you got to educate them why they need to do that, and just let them start making decisions. It's the same reason we don't like go and rotate our tires on our cars. No, I guess for your car, it's 5 bolts, and you just got to jack it up and move it around or change the oil.
I'm totally that guy on the car side of things. I'm just like, I don't do
Going back to our back pedal, last week in the clinic, Tessa, the other PT who works there, had a flat tire. Completely flat tire, and she was going to call AAA, but her AAA had expired. So we just told her like, let's just go out and change it. I hadn't changed a tire, and I think it was 10 years ago I changed a tire.
It's been a long time.
So for me, I was actually excited to do. I was like, oh cool, I get to like learn this life skill again, because it's really, unless you work in a car shop, it's not a life skill that you want to be running into too often. Yeah. But it was fun to do. Yeah, it was a lot easier than you think it is.
Yeah.
It's not that intimidating. It's a fun little thing to do with 2-3 people together, and it was actually the most fun we had during that day, and it was sunny outside, so it was great. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to what are the trends saying? Let me ask you guys a question, because e-bikes are such a big thing. Would you ever buy an e-bike? Would you ever own one? Would you ever have one in your quiver?
Wait till I'm 80.
Wait until you're ready. How about you?
Well, so I mean, I'm older than Evan, and I will say, Here's the thing: you're saying wait till I'm 80, but it might be more like wait till you're 60. But yeah, I mean, or maybe it's wait till you're 50 or wait till you have that knee problem and whatever it is.
I would buy one now.
I would buy one.
Now. I would buy it. Like, I would go out and buy one tomorrow. And the reason being,
Yeah. Okay.
what if you just want to go putz around? What if you want to run to the grocery store and you don't want to get all sweaty and you just want to be outside? Like, when you get on your bike, can you tell me how many times do you get
I would commute
angry?
on an e-bike.
Yeah.
I would commute on an
I
e-bike.
would use it to run all of my errands.
That's a good idea.
You're fast enough and strong enough that you could do all of those errands without sweating. Because how much power did you put out the other day?
I was about to say,
How many
first
watts for
off,
that?
Jake shouldn't be allowed to get an e-bike.
Yeah,
we should make rules on e-bikes, and Jake's not allowed one.
Have you guys ever ridden an e-bike?
The e-bike would slow
I
you
have
down.
not actually ever.
Have you ever ridden an e-bike, Matt?
I
Like a
have
true
not, no.
e-bike? Okay, the first time I got on one, before I got on it, I'm like, nah, this is going to be a gimmicky thing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I got on it, and there's not
Is
too
it
many
fun?
other times that I had a bigger smile on my face.
God dang it! I was hoping you weren't going to say
And you're
that.
like, oh my God, I'm still pedaling. I'm still getting a workout, but man, I'm hauling butt right now.
Yeah.
Going up this hill is like effortless. This is awesome. I would love to have that just for sake of like if I need to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Or if I had one and my wife wanted to go for a ride with me, I could put her on that thing and she can go ride side by side with me. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I guess if I'm 60 or 70 and I just retired, I'd kind of want to ride my bike for a long rides and get some good views.
So
yeah, not a bad idea.
We don't live far. Like if there's no traffic to get to downtown Portland, 35 minutes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. More times than not throughout the course of the day, the bridge traffics, the arterial traffics can get crazy. You can go from 35 minutes to an hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah.
The infrastructure for cycling here in the greater Portland area is fantastic. I mean, they've got all of their pathways.
Some of
They've
the
got their
best in the
road
nation.
signs pointing you in the right direction and the whole shoot match. So
an e-bike could be faster. Absolutely.
So what if you wanted to go downtown with your wife to go to the Apple store to pick up your new phone or something like that, and you just want to like make it a fun little date to go ride bikes, and you're on an e-bike and it's effortless? Not totally effortless, but it just could be fun. How much fun would that be if you could still get down there? And no joke, it would take you about 35 minutes.
Yep.
40 minutes.
I agree.
Yeah.
So especially this time of year with the great weather too.
I have to just change my mindset. This is going back to the conversation we talked about, like how specific I am always with training and everything. My mindset is always very much as soon as I'm on the bicycle that it's work.
Okay.
It's work time.
Press
I
pause
need
in
to
your
change
brain
that.
with that and think. Just don't think about your workouts. Think about how many times would I rather ride a bike than sit in my car?
Every time. Yeah.
Especially
unless
this time of
unless
year.
it's pouring rain or snowing outside.
So there are a lot of people that are picking up on this, and it could be like I don't know if I necessarily need to be putting like a 12-year-old kid on an e-bike. I don't need them flying all over the place and whatnot. But anybody who's a grown adult, I think that an e-bike could suit them in a multitude of different ways, and it could be a great way for you to go out and get a bit of exercise and be one less car on the road.
Do you know what'd be really cool is if they could come up with just even like a light licensing process for it, but then also really start promoting it, because I mean, how many people in your average community cannot afford cars? A lot. And how many people does that prevent them from getting certain jobs? I work with patients like this where the bus system, it takes them, people always say like, oh, go get a job. Well, it's hard for somebody who is, let's say, comes from a homeless background, does not, can only use the bus. That can be an hour and 15 minutes sometimes to get somewhere.
Yeah. Now that whole licensing thing and collecting money, that's a slippery slope. I would be okay with that if I knew that government wasn't going to take that and, misappropriated.
This is the problem.
If I knew that 100% of my proceeds were going to cycling infrastructure, cycling safety, cycling related things, I'd be willing to pay.
And you could get these bikes that can go between that 25 to 35 mile an hour range, and that's how they commute to work in the Vancouver area.
Yeah.
I mean,
and right now with bicycles, if I'm not mistaken, the federal law is that you do not need a license if the bike does not go electrically assist over 20 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can make the bike go faster, but you cannot have e-assist beyond that 20 miles an hour threshold. 20 miles an hour, that's pretty cooking. I mean, when we
can
did
you turn into race results for that licensure? Can you say like, well, Jake has been mixing up in a couple sprints of PIR, be like, okay, here's his license, there you go.
So I don't know, I just think that there would be a cool, and I'm thinking again going back to like the Netherlands, everybody rides a bike there, and the difference between here in the United States and say over in Europe is everything is so much bigger here and everything's so much more spread about. I mean, we don't really think about it because we're here, but if you go over to Europe and you look around, you don't have to go a long ways. So, go ride like 5 or 10 miles on your bike. That's a big day. For us, just to get to downtown Portland, you're talking about a good 20-mile commute. So,
but think about it. If you got a bike that can go 25 miles an hour, let's say, and you can commute, so 25 miles an hour into South Portland, if you live in Vancouver, that is an hour and a half commute by car. If you're hitting traffic times.
Sure.
use that bike, use the paths that are already infrastructure there, you may cut down your commute time, like you said there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, to play devil's advocate here.
Oh boy.
I love doing this. I think e-bikes are expensive. I think
They are.
They're too expensive right now.
They're $3,000 to $5,000.
That's a lot of money.
Too expensive
I mean,
right now.
you can buy a car for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think though that market is emerging.
Somebody's going to undercut it.
They're
They're going to be more competitive. All of the manufacturers, just about all, I'm not going to say all, a lot of the manufacturers are putting them out there. And as the market becomes more and more saturated, there's going to be more competition and the prices will come down eventually.
Yep.
I hope so. Because I think they're good. I think we all agree that they're a good thing to have. I mean, purist cyclist, sure. No, that's not exactly, their target market, but I love the idea of being able to ride with people that aren't necessarily like able to crank up to 30 miles an hour on Marine Drive.
Yeah. And I think that it's just as more time goes by and more people start to dabble with them, folks, if you think that they're a bad thing, go down to a bike shop and just go take a test ride and tell me that you didn't have fun. They're literally that fun. I rode my first one. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even 7 years ago. It was a blast, and I'd love to get back on one. And I've thought about maybe bringing him one from BMC. They've got what's called the Alpen Challenge, which is kind of like looks like a little city bike, kind of like a hybrid bike.
I know Cannondale makes like 3.
Yeah. And BMC actually makes several of them as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
So maybe we need to bring some in to play with them.
I would play.
Yeah,
I would play.
That'd be hilarious if we had a team ride all e-bike.
Oh my god, yeah.
Dial E.
40 mile an hour.
They have e-bike categories now. I know that like at Sea Otter, they had an e-bike category for mountain bikes, so that was kind of interesting. And Cannondale makes them as well as BMC and a lot of the manufacturers that mountain bikes that are all mountain bikes with e-bike systems in them, which very low center of gravity, so they corner really well. But you can climb really well too because you got the e-assist. So that's kind of fun. All right, one last thing on this topic because I don't want us to run too late here. I'm gonna go back on what Matt was saying in terms of like the whole automated car thing.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that, and I really hope that they push the envelope on that and they push and make it more mainstream sooner than later, because I think that a big thing is just safety in general and keeping traffic moving and getting people off their phones and out of the driver's seat and let the car take care of it. I really hope that from what I'm reading and seeing that this stuff continues to progress at the rate that it's at, because I think we're right on the cusp of it being a big explosive market.
Safer for bikes long term.
There will be, like Matt said, a period of time where it's going to be super unsafe to be out there. And there's going to be pushback because people are so used to being the one driving the car. But I love driving a car just as much as the next person, but man, how nice would it be just to kind of sit back and look out the window and not have to worry about traffic and let everything be automated, and you're going to get wherever you're going to be going a lot faster because it's going to be automated and optimized and whatnot. And cars aren't going to be hitting bicycles or kids or other cars. That would be fantastic. So I'm really hoping though that it's not one of those like we're going to have to hope and pray that it's like not after our lifetime that this stuff all becomes more mainstream and it's figured out. I'm thinking that technology is increasing at a rate and people are putting lots and lots and lots of money into this and betting on the future. I'm hoping that it's a much more truncated amount of time that this is going to be a problem. So Matt, you were saying 10 years?
That's my theory.
That's your over under?
That's my guess. Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, so Barrett's your oldest kid, it's one of those things where it's like, when he's in college or whatever it is, he might not need a car because he could do an automated car system like through Uber or whatever it is. And if Uber has self-driving cars, then you just order one up, have it take you where you want to go.
That's kind of where they're saying that the future is going with cars. It's
because they are going to be expensive when they start, just like e-bikes or whatever else.
So I'm looking forward to that, just so we don't get hit by cars.
It'd be fine with me.
All right, you guys have anything else that you want to talk about on that topic? Why bicycles futures look so bright? Just go ride a bike, guys. Everybody, take a friend out there, get everybody out there riding bikes, and you'll understand that there's just so much upside. I mean, you're going to crash, you're going to get some scrapes, and you might get hit by a car or something like that. Those are the downsides, but for all of the cons, there's so many more pros. Just go out there and experience it. So, all right, let's jump into one last thing. Evan.
I am leaving Thursday morning to head out to Chattanooga, Tennessee, one of my favorite cities in America.
So you probably won't be on the podcast next week.
We're going to see. I need to look away when my return flight is, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make it back in time.
Okay.
I may be on a plane during it.
It could just be Jake and I. It's going to be the best podcast ever.
I think Lance might be back, but then he's turning around leaving again to go to Europe or something like that.
Yeah. We can have a guest on. That'd be a good week to have a guest on. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what time I'm getting back. It'll be my second pro race of the year.
It'll be good.
It's
for
a
you.
big field. It's got like 45 guys, I think, on the start list, and some big names with a big, hopefully, middle group. So
good.
So maybe.
Yep.
So you're leaving on Thursday. This will come out on Wednesday.
Yep.
Maybe once you get it figured out, like that's the website, Matt, you sent me to last time, so we can watch the live race results. Will that be an option for this race?
I can link that up for everybody. Don't worry.
I think that'd be fantastic. Some people might want to watch how things are going along for you.
Yeah.
I know I was having fun watching it. So
Ironman does a great job of the live tracking stuff too.
They do
so
a pretty good
it's
job,
good. Yeah. And
I
it's gonna be a heated race for sure because there's the swim is downriver, so there's not these big gaps in the swim. It's kind of close together. So when you hit the bike, it's basically a bike race from what I've heard. And then
Honestly,
everybody's just dead on the run.
It's a good course for you.
Yeah.
It's a good
I
course.
really can't pick a much better course. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
And you're fit.
That's the good news.
And you're swimming well. You got all the pieces of the puzzle.
should we take bets on what place we think Evan's going to finish? What place do you think you're going to finish?
Out
If you
of
had to put your
45.
put your finger on a number.
Perfect race, top. Oh, I'd love to say 15. If I have a perfect race, like nothing goes wrong, I'd love to say top 15. Good, like a really good race would be top 25.
Okay.
I would love to be just top 30.
Good.
I need to beat 15 guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I was 15th out of 24 last time. So I beat 9 guys last time. I'd like to beat,
Okay.
be at least in the top 2/3.
Matt, do you want to take a wager on that, or are you going to just let him roll with that?
I think it's great for you to. I will say 9th place.
Oh my God! Ooh. I would need to be beating some. I would need to put down a good run.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I just think you're ready for this one. This is, it's a good course for you. It's going to be hot. It's going to be hard on everyone. There's going to be people that are just cracking like eggs. If you're patient and you watch those people crack, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think?
Oh, geez.
If you go higher than 9th, I'm out of here. There's no way.
I'll say my lucky number in baseball was 16. I don't want
There
to
you
say
go.
that.
I like
I've
that
got
number,
no rational reason to say
If I come back here and I was 16th place, I would be happy as a clam. Yeah, that
was
would be
akin
awesome.
to somebody picking a football or basketball team based on the fact that their color was purple or green or something.
College
like
basketball brackets.
That would be cool.
Speaking of, did you get? There was like some basketball game on.
Somebody like Portland.
Oh yeah,
they scored like the winning goal, and someone went to the Super Bowl, and something happened in that game.
Score all the points.
The first Western Conference Finals for the Blazers since 2000.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a basketball fan, and I'm not
Yeah.
a Portland fan by any means because I just don't really follow basketball closely. And I grew up and was always around like the Lakers when they had all their rings. And I was never a Laker fan, but I was always kind of like watching from the periphery, like, oh, that's cool, because I had a lot of friends who were fans.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. Like there are so many people excited about the
It's
fact
cool
that
to
the
watch it.
Blazers are
Yeah.
going to the quarterfinals, right? Is that what it is? So,
The Western
semifinal-
Conference,
the Western
final,
Conference,
so
yeah.
semifinals before the final.
like I said, they won the pennant and they're going to the Super Bowl. Don't
Exactly.
worry
Yeah,
about it.
couple touchdowns. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. We get some hate mail now.
we will.
So no, it's been cool to watch that and just seeing
Yeah.
people get excited. And what's really funny is I like Chris Handel. He's always his.
So you a big Blazers fan?
He's a huge Blazer fan.
Yeah.
So you'll always see him like watching the game, but he'll Zwift and like afterwards he'll get.
I have seen those
You get all
pictures.
angry at them for a way that they were playing to the season, and you just got this big diatribe in his Zwift title. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny to see that happen. Cool. Matt, one last thing.
I think, let's see, I'm really excited to watch Evan's race coming up. I'm sure I'll post some videos this week. I'm going to post a video about the Vivo Active 3 watch.
Ooh, yeah.
Like a little unboxing of that.
I like
Talk
it.
about that a little bit.
Sweet.
Vivo
Active 3?
Yeah, it's called the Vivo Active 3.
Gotcha.
They have three versions of that. They have Vivo Active 3, Vivo Active 3 Music, and a Vivo Active 3 cellular version.
Yeah.
Which no one needs. But
I've got the music one, and I'm even on the fence whether or not you need the music. I mean,
Yeah,
how many times
yeah.
are you out and about without your phone? But anyway,
So the question with that is like, is this a good triathlon watch? Spoiler, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wearing that watch for
It's a great watch.
about 10 months now.
Yeah,
so
it's a great watch.
Yeah, it's cool. My one last thing is I'm going to be going out to PIR again tonight.
There you go. Round
on
2.
the fence whether or not I'm going to be racing again. Like I said, woke up and not feeling 100%. I need to get on the bike, though, at some point in time today because I got a little streaky streak going.
Yep.
Today will be ride number 13.
Oh.
13 days
a
in a
good
row.
streak.
My
Nice.
goal, I didn't really tell anybody this, but was to ride every single day of this month because it is National Bicycle Month. So
National Bike Month. Get out and ride your bikes.
I will at some point in time to get on a bicycle, but I'll definitely be out there at PR watching my son race tonight. He's super stoked. fact.
Oh my gosh.
He averaged last week a whole mile an hour faster than the week prior.
At that rate, he's going to be setting the hour record on the track here coming up.
I don't know about that, but I mean, he's 9 years old. He'll be 10 in June, and he averaged 15.2 or 15.3 miles an hour.
Awesome.
And he hit a max speed on a flat course of 21.6 or 5 or something like that miles an hour. That's pretty stinking good.
That is.
So,
has he not hit the pacing thing yet? Does he just sprint? And he's like, oh, I can't hold that forever. Dang it.
Well, I think there is a spot where he come around. I mean, it will like go up and down just a couple feet, but I think he caught a little tailwind coming into it and got excited by seeing
jump of speed.
Exactly. So
that's cool.
But yeah, I'll be out there watching him and
That is
maybe
awesome.
pinning on a number for myself. So
There you go.
We'll see. Yep.
Mr. Lance, we missed you today, bud. Hope you have a great family trip in
Lance
Moab.
Romance in Moab. Yep.
Evan, wish you all the best at your race this
Thank
coming
you, guys.
weekend. This should be a lot of fun. Matt, looking forward to watching your video, and maybe we'll have to connect on a ride sometime this week.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, good times. Everybody, you guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We will see you next week. Bye for now.